We've got more funky flights. Jumpin' my jet and jive, Clive. So, here we have more. We're introducing more controls. This introduces the fact that you can. It says lock yourself moving forward to shoot while backwards, and you can also press L to make the copter face forward. That's a little poorly described, poorly explained, especially because they just used forward in a different context. But you'll see in a moment what that means. And here you've got, oh look, it's you can only have so much air, and you need to go under the water, and so you need to handle. And also you've got a winch. You use select to drop a winch, so that's another thing that your copter has. And this time you don't have unlimited ammo on your gun, but also you have bombs that you can pick up that you can only drop when you're holding L to do what he says is facing forward. You see there we've got a 10-second bubble. That's how long you can stay underwater before you just die. Right, these clocks there, they add time to your just like overall level timer that you have up in the upper right there. This stage, when I first encountered it, I got very, very confused because the way that he described things, it's like, oh, okay, I can only stay underwater for so long, and I've got the 10-second bubble thing there, so, I just need to dip underwater, and then I need to find an air pocket to come back above to get out of the water afterwards, right? That's how this is going to work. They don't tell you a couple of things. Like here, where we, as we're coming down, there's not enough time to get to the next spot where there's air here, because you need to go down to grab air bubbles, because that's a video game thing. That's a thing that you should know about, because you play video games, right? That's just a video game thing. That's not a thing that they tell you about in the game. That's not a thing that that ever gets mentioned. It's just you need to go and grab these bubbles to increase your air gauge higher than it could be at the start for some reason. Like that first bubble increased it to 50 when it started at 10. That was very confusing to me that any of this was there. Like, yeah, it's a video game convention that's how going underwater works. When you've got limited air, you find air bubbles underwater to grab. But again, you're in a helicopter, and it didn't really explain that very well. This, by the way, is that when you hold L, when he says to make the copter face forwards, that it makes it face the screen. And when you're in that state, you don't fire the gun, you drop those bombs. So here, yeah, this stage is pretty much all about getting those air bubbles that nothing tells you about, and you just kind of have to find, and getting through and not dropping this treasure chest along the way, making sure that you keep it on you the whole way. If you do drop it, you can easily just go and pick it back up. It doesn't, like, despawn or anything. It doesn't teleport back. If you die at any point during these, like if you bump into too much stuff, take too much damage, and your chopper explodes, you can actually just continue. Like, when it gives you an option to abort mission, and if you say no, it will respawn you at the start of the stage, but it's like the progress that you kind of made is still there. Like, the chest will still be in the spot where you left it, where you died. It'll just send you back, and you've got 10 minutes to do that one, so dying is kind of perfectly acceptable in that. So, that's kind of a little bit of a weird thing that they also don't really explain, that you just kind of have to, try it and see what happens. So, that was the point where I went back to the first world and got all of the stuff that I had previously missed there, because I thought that I needed to do, I was still thinking in terms of the original game, and I was like, oh, well, I entered the second world, and I need to go to get funky before I can leave and go back to the first world. But no, once you've unlocked the gyrocopter, once, you always have that option available in the start menu, so, you know, it's just, that was where I realized, oh, wait, I can just go and do that. Anyway, Lava Lagoon. I don't like this stage because it discourages exploration by putting you on a strict time limit as you're underwater. Because you bump into Clapper the Seal, and he cools the lava down into water, because that's how lava works, of course. And, you know, over time, after a certain amount of time, it will heat back up into lava, and of course that kills you. So you have to, you know, you've got to quickly get from, you know, to get through the spots to not die as you get through the stage, which, again, you are actively discouraged from exploring in this game where you are expected to explore and find bonuses and find secrets all over the place. So, like, there's this kind of bad back and forth, like inconsistent design, where they're simultaneously encouraging and discouraging exploration. By the way, there is also a hidden Unguard crate here. You need to grab Unguard, dismount Unguard so that you can jump out of the water to hit Clapper over here, and then get back on Unguard to bring him up to this secret path that's behind a wall to kill this fish, this lockjaw that has a photo in this secret area. Do note, if you try to go back there after the water has dropped, the lockjaw will not be present. Lockjaws and other, like, underwater specific enemies actually despawn if the place where they're supposed to be does not have water. So, you know, if you try to go back there to like, just try to defeat him, well, there's no water there. It just won't be there for you to defeat. So you do need to bring Unguard there to get that photo. And find it without passing it by first. Anyway, there's a couple of things there. There's that photo, there's the bonus, there's... Moving on here, I was so focused on the, like, getting through the level and just not dying to the lava that I failed to notice the gold feather off in the little corner as we passed it by there. So you'll see in just a moment, as I cut back to the other run, it's just, if you go above the pufferfish here, you can see that feather from the path that you pass by, to the upper left when you're going down. Over here, there's a secret path that has an invulnerability barrel that allows you to remain in the water without dying, or the lava, really. Which, that's how you get the video game hero medal in this stage. And again, that's a spot where it has a very, very short timer for how long it takes for the water to heat back up and kill you. So you just kind of need to be exploring on this very strict time limit. And I really don't like that. I like exploring, I don't like exploring on a strict time limit. So here's Wrinkly again. I go through and I buy all of the things because I want to fill it up. I don't think you need to for like 100% completion. You don't need to buy all of the hints from Wrinkly or Cranky. You don't need to buy all of the hints to get 100% completion, or rather 102% completion, because that's where the percentage goes, because Rare hates numbers and hates math and doesn't want you to understand how game works. They actively obfuscate the way that the game works all the time. Except here, Wrinkly explains how the game works in the basic ways. So that's our hints for the Crocodile Cauldron world. I didn't bother doing the check homework. You can do check homework at any time to turn in any photos that you've collected, and you'll get the coin for any pages that you've completed. I'm going to show all of that off at the very end when I've collected all of the things. Those 2 coins up there, here in Red Hot Ride, that is how I farmed coins in this game. Because once you've cleared a stage, you can, when you go back to a stage that you've previously cleared, you can pause the game, hit start, and then press select to just leave the level. So, when I'm trying to grab a bunch of coins, I start this level, I do a team throw to grab those 2 coins, I immediately start select out of the level, I come back in, grab the 2 coins, repeat until I've gotten all of the coins that I need. I needed to do this a couple of times because it turns out you need a couple hundred coins to buy everything in this game. So, I did some lengthy coin farming on this, on the start of the stage for a bit. But here, this is a prime example of what I was talking about earlier with this being a gimmick game. It's a gimmick platformer. You have these balloons. These air balloons that you position them over the plumes of hot air, and they rise, and if they're not over the hot air, they'll slowly fall, and you need to not fall into the lava. These balloons don't exist in any other stage. They are here and nowhere else. And that's it. And that's the gimmick of this stage. And that's something that, that's something that can be done well, that I don't think Rare did well. Where here, they introduce a gimmick, they kind of do everything with it that they can think of, and then they discard it, never to be seen again. In Nintendo's Mario games, like Mario 3 is a great example of levels that have good design. It doesn't have, there's a couple of gimmicks here and there, there's Goomba's shoe, that's a one-stage gimmick. But for the most part, it's all core mechanics, it's things that they introduce and then they use in multiple stages and explore in different ways. They're very basic game elements that you figure out, you learn, you understand how they work, and then you're exploring novel spaces to handle these obstacles and objects that the game has. Whereas what Rare does is they come up with an object and they don't let you explore the object. They'll give you the very start of the stage to see what this thing does and how you interact with it. And then they'll just do one entire stage that's all different ways to fuck around with this object. But then they don't really explore these gimmicks in very in-depth ways. There are these game elements that get introduced, you look at them once and they're discarded. So it's kind of it's a lazy sort of level design, a lazy sort of game design, where rather than coming up with novel ways to utilize the tools that you're introducing to the player, you just introduce new tools every time. And then that's your level design, is you introduce the tool and then you do the natural things to make challenges with that tool. So it's a lazy kind of way to do level design that I do not agree with. And again, they could have reused these balloons in other stages. They could have had you see the balloons here and there in a couple of other stages, once or twice later on. They could have had them be a recurring thing, but they didn't. They introduced these for one stage, and that's all they wanted them for, because all of the other stages had their own gimmicks. And, you're from this point on, you're going to see every stage is going to have a core gimmick that is the thing that the stage is about, and it's the only thing that the stage is about. And that's, they just don't have challenges related to any other parts of the game. They have the handful of core game mechanics that they introduced from the start, from the early levels, and then it's all just one-off new gimmicks.